And welcome back. This is David Fink alongside my teammate and broadcast partner here for our third men's quarterfinal matchup. John, it's Sean the Freak Lenning taking on the resurgent and the improved Charlie Shanks.
Absolutely the most intriguing match here. I mean, Shanks looks like, as you said before, one of the top 4 players in the world right now, and Lenning is in that discussion as well. And here they are in the quarterfinals.
It's a tough draw really for both guys because Charlie Shanks drawing the #1 seed and Sean Lenning having to play a guy that probably should be ranked inside the top 4 in just his first match. Sean has not even hit a ball yet in this event. And here he is facing Charlie Shanks.
Yeah, it's not what we're used to as a top-seeded player. Just your first ball of competition against Charlie Shanks.
You know, John, it's interesting watching Charlie Shanks for so many years. Be interested to hear what you think makes Charlie Shanks such a dangerous player and such a great player, John.
Well, you guys, I heard your analysis before, and you nailed it. He had like a 5-year learning curve where he was all potential and not quite living up to it, and he's made the mental adjustments. Now he's a complete package.
But what is there about his game, John? Because he doesn't have blazing speed or unbelievable power or incredible flat rollouts. He's got a very good serve, but what is there about his game, John, that just allows him to take out top player after top player?
Well, ironically now, it's the poise. It's what people thought was his weak point, and he's turned it into a strength.
I completely agree with you. I think it's his mental strength. He just keeps coming, even despite a bad game or a bad patch in a match. He stays calm and he stays composed. Even against Robbie McCarthy, where he lost 11-9, you could see that, you know, he felt good about himself.
Oh,
and
he's very
brimming
proud
with
of his
confidence.
performance. Yep. Yeah, this entire year I just saw the shaky second game against Alvarado in Coeur d'Alene, but everything else has just been absolute top notch.
Well, he had a shaky second game here today against Armando Ortiz, got run out of the gym 21-5, and then came back and won that tiebreaker with a little bit of controversy. Let's not forget 11-8. It was Armando appearing to score the 9th point to take a 9-7 lead. And the call was overturned controversially on an instant replay. Armando never scored again and lost 11-8.
That's hard luck for Armando, but I don't think he'll use that excuse. That was one rally out of, he had more chances.
That's true, John, but there's such a fine line between these players, John, that sometimes it's that one call or that one break that you get that makes the difference.
It often does come down to that, but unless it actually happens at match point, get in there and take another crack at it. They both realize how huge this match is. Just pummeling balls.
Well, John, I know that you follow race streaking, and Charlie Shanks is one of these guys that's on the exponential up.
Trending way upward.
Trending way up. Sean Lenning actually trending down. It was Sean Lenning going 1-1 in Idaho, and then also going 1-1 at the U.S. Open, not including the playoff 5th place matches that he won. We're only counting the main draw matches. So Sean Lenning just 2-2 on the year right now, John, and you expect Sean Lenning to be winning about 65 to 75% of his matches.
That's another reason this is such a huge match, and conventional wisdom might go with Shanks right now as the hotter player, but I'm going to go ahead and say Sean's going to win this match.
Just an unbelievable shot. That looked like John Bike in there, taking the ball on the way up and flat killing it in the corner.
Well, we are teammates, but
John, how do you hit that shot? I think a lot of people listening at home would love to understand, because that's not a shot that really you're taught in percentage handball.
Already they've broken a ball. No, I guess you just trust your own balance at the time. If you're not, it's kind of like a free throw. If you're not doing a lot of extra movement, you should be fairly accurate with it.
Huh.
You just try and develop that feel.
It's almost like a putting stroke. The less moving parts, the better.
And I think Sean's taken that to a new level. I would say I'm kind of learning from him on that. If you're strong enough to get it to the wall with that much movement, go ahead and do that.
I'm excited to be able to drop in some of my golf references. My normal broadcast partner doesn't know what golf is.
No, I'm all over that.
Okay. There'll be some more. Can't predict exactly when. John, I'm actually the head of referees here, and I made sure that there were 4 new balls that had already been thrown around up in the referee's box. So that 1.5 minute delay we just had to warm up that ball should not have taken place, because these balls have already been thrown around and warmed up. So it's a little bit frustrating. Perhaps our referee doesn't understand that. But, you know, John, you were part of the players' meeting last night, and our goal really is to speed up these matches, not to highlight the actual play rather than all the dead time that we tend to see in the court.
Yeah, and the old school guys kind of like that, like you're using it strategically and all, but in the modern sports world, there's no place for that.
And what people don't know yet, John, and they're about to find out, we're actually going to be experimenting with rally scoring at our next race stop in Fresno. We're going to be playing best of 3 games to 21. All points count, so a side out counts as a point.
That's more good news in my opinion. We're like the last dinosaurs, stubbornly adhering to no rally scoring, and we finally fixed that.
It's true, John. There's not another sport, although I think racquetball may use side-out scoring. I'm not sure.
I said sport.
Oh, okay. I didn't want to go there, but
volleyball finally made the switch. Much better game now.
And obviously tennis is
every point
score every point. I really love the scoring in tennis, John, because every 4 or 5 points you're playing a huge point. In handball, you know, here's the score at 7-3. This next point isn't a big point. The points don't get big until somebody gets to 18 or 19. In tennis, your only chance to break your opponent might be in the first game of the set. You have a break point. If you don't convert, the chances of you breaking him again in the set or winning the set are almost none. Or conversely, you're serving and you're facing break points. I think that makes the game a lot more exciting, and I think we'll see some of that excitement when we bring the rally scoring into the game.
Are you? This is just what we all hope to see out of Sean Lenning fans. Do you see this adrenaline? Do you see how he's popping that ball right now? It'll be hard to sustain that entire match, but this is what a Sean Lenning fan wants to see.
Well, the knock on Sean, and it's not so much a knock, but it's because of that shoulder injury that he's had over the last couple of years, is his shoulder doesn't seem to be able to hold up for an entire tournament. He's got that snap for the first round, maybe the second round, but by the time the finals comes around, you see Sean Lenning very, very much stiff with that shoulder and lacking that extra pop on the ball. But absolutely, John, what we're seeing right now is just a devastating serve followed by some unbelievable offense, and Charlie Shanks is being blown out of the building right now.
This clearly could be a statement match for Lenning. The Irish players made a statement at Lowe's Cab, and Sean's just not quite ready to bow down yet.
Sean looked really dejected there in Lowe's Cab, but to his credit, John, he's been motivated by that.
That's what I'm seeing right now.
And the timeout does nothing to slow Sean down. Obviously, John, when you call a timeout, you hope that you get the quick side out and stop the momentum, but that's just not happening here. Charlie Shanks did beat an unmotivated Sean Lenning at the 2009 USHA Dallas Pro Stop.
3 serving 11.
Yeah, you wonder if Charlie, part of his motivation has been as the underdog proving himself, and you wonder if there's any chance of him getting a little too comfortable.
I actually thought Charlie looked, John, a little bit too casual in that match against Armando.
That would explain that second game.
And there's always, John, that fine line between being relaxed and too tense. And if you can find that balance, that's when you're really dangerous. Really, that balance only comes with a lot of confidence. That's a shot, John, that you can relate to in your prime, just being able to crush the ball and knowing that when it catches the side wall, it'll stay down because you have so much pace on it. Now, John, you're not hitting the ball quite as hard, so you have to rely on a little bit more guile.
Better placement, yeah, gamesmanship, yeah.
I've always had to rely on that.
But it's nice that you're taking it 2 feet high off the front wall. It's going to be kind of low off the side wall no matter what. And Charlie just totally just being overpowered here.
And it's a helpless feeling, John, when you are being overpowered. I know, John, in our matches about 15 years ago, I felt this way, and I'm sure, John, and now that you've gotten a little bit older, you've had that same feeling where you
I've
just
had the
feel
experience,
overwhelmed,
yeah.
and it's paralyzing.
And good to see Sean doing the dictating now. He's responded very well to. I believe McCarthy was doing this to him, and he's fighting back now.
Well, you know, John, I'm sure you watched that match with McCarthy at the U.S. Open. I'm not sure if you had a chance to watch it or not, but
I saw a lot on the webcast, yeah.
Sean just looked like he was just completely overmatched, and yet this Sean Lenning, I believe, would dominate the buzzsaw, Robbie McCarthy.
Yeah, I'm not sure where his head was at during that match. Like you guys were saying, though, he probably just never experienced that before. Shanks is making it easy for him. I will say that, but you have to wonder what could he do.
You know,
this is the Sean Lenning that
we like to preface everything in the booth, John, by saying we're not making excuses for him, but Charlie Shanks told me he's just a little bit burned out right now. You know, he's had some great results, but
yeah.
I asked him if he was going to Albany next weekend. I'm sure you've been to that event, John, the Albany Open.
Played the C singles there, and yeah.
It's a pretty big event in the Northeast, actually the biggest. The WPH will be there promoting and covering the event. But Charlie Shanks just said, you know, I need a weekend off. I'm going to check out the Statue of Liberty, which is good for me, John, because I will be there.
Okay,
so
well, get yourself back on the winning track.
Get to start
Unless
feeling
Mike Schneider
good about
just takes you down.
Well, Mike Schneider is playing good handball.
Is he playing the Open?
He plays a couple of divisions. The Open's one of them. Mike Schneider told me he feels very comfortable playing there. So. And John, we blinked, and now it's Sean Lenning leading 20-4. Now, John, we had a discussion. I don't know if you overheard it, but why should a skip serve be an automatic side out? I mean, Sean Lenning comes 1 inch from a skip there on the serve, yet it's just a short. In tennis, if you serve the ball into the crowd or serve the ball straight into the ground,
fault,
it's just a fault. Why, in handball, are you taken out of the server's box? Why should you be punished?
Because believe it or not, this happens like 5% of the time, but I'm going with DV on that one. That's a big wall. You should be able to hit it.
Huh.
The tennis serve in the crowd is funny because we were making fun of a guy at our club who served one over the fence, not on purpose. He just released it a little early. Didn't quite break the wrist.
Are you saying in tennis then that it should be?
No, I don't care what tennis does.
Oh, okay.
I just.
Now in golf, if you hit a ball,
they got the 2-stroke penalty if you're out of bounds.
Right. So that's
just rough. So that's
sort
more
of similar.
Yeah. So Dave Vincent taking a break from the booth. Did he realize it was only going to be like a 17-minute break? We're going to expect him back here pretty soon.
Dave Vincent not happy. He talks about how overworked he is, and then when you give him a few minutes off, he was pouting in the corner, literally pouting in the corner. I don't know if we can get the camera on him, but he's actually curled up into a little ball in the corner of this
my webcast
handball court. And you know, Dave, I don't know, or John, excuse me, if this crowd really can process what they just watched. I mean, they just watched a guy that's in the top 6 in the world completely and utterly dominated by Sean Lenning. 21-4 in just 9 minutes.
See, now you're talking about Sean and conserving his shoulder and all, but for the top 8, it's a 3-match sprint. Maybe doofing around too much makes too many swings, and maybe this is the way to go. 2 swings per rally, hard as you can. And
well, you know, I certainly agree with that theory, John. But I think it's more so the period between your matches where maybe your shoulder tightens up a little bit and then you just can't get it warmed up again, you know, in the finals. You know, there's a lot of different ways to look at it, but a lot of times in your first match, you know, you get the adrenaline going. You know, sometimes in the semifinals or finals after you've played and your shoulder's a little bit tighter, you've lost just about 5 to 10% of the snap, and that's all the difference. That's the difference between hitting aces and hitting serves that aren't that effective.
But you do have to make sure you get past this round. I mean, I'm sure next time he sees McCarthy, he'll be going all out from point 1.
Now remember, John, that we only are taking 3 minutes between games here as opposed to the standard 5 minutes that we've always played. And I don't know about you, John. I know that you played and you've also watched, but I think it's really making the game flow a lot better.
I strongly prefer the 3 minutes, but to be honest, in my match, it just took me by surprise. After 30 years of 5 minutes, I was just sitting back here, taking my time with my gloves. But yeah, it's definitely better. You don't need 5 minutes. 5 minutes is enough to get a little stiff. 3 minutes, you have your commercial, you come back in, and what sport, yeah.
I agree with you. Now, right now, John, we gave our viewers some bonus behind-the-scenes coverage here as we did not go to commercial.
That's right. They typically take a break here.
But we're treating this timeout more like a pay-per-view boxing where you just keep it rolling. There's no commercial. So sorry to Simple Green and the ICHA and our other wonderful sponsors, Zions, the
Sean,
GAA.
Throw this out there. Sean
Clark
as
and Rothschild attorneys. Go ahead, John.
I'm sorry, but Sean's got a lot of weight in his shoulders right now. His teammates did not follow him into the round of 8, and it's all on Sean's shoulders right now. We'll be playing for table scrap Super Bowl points. I mean, we'll be giving it our best, but it's going to be up to Sean to keep us in the competition this week.
That's true.
If he keeps doing this, so.
Well, Dave Vincent, who is the perennial fence sitter, rarely will take a stand, particularly in public.
No, he takes every single stand.
Okay.
He will absolutely defend every single point.
He unequivocally stated that Sean Lenning would win this tournament.
That's something. He also unequivocally stated that Shanks would and Moreno and McCarthy would.
Okay.
I made that part up, but it's coming.
It's not far from true.
Didn't mention Garner or Chapman.
Well, both those guys right now are kind of wild cards, John. Garner looks a little sloppy in there. Dave Chapman looks unmotivated and unfit, so they're playing each other, you know, but both guys are kind of.
I thought Garner played great. No, I know exactly what Garner was going through. At that stage of my career, if I had to play an old vet, an immobile, just so much on you, like all you have to do is hit a decent shot, he's not going to get it. There's just so much in your head. I had a lot of ugly matches like he did today, playing with the Fred Lewises and the Dennis Hofflanders and the Vern Roberts. When you know they're on their downside, but you still respect them. And
I don't know if it was so much that, John, is Alan Garner just hasn't been playing much handball. He told me after your match that he has no one to play where he lives. He doesn't get to see the power. He doesn't really play all that much just because there's no one to play. I know
we'll see then, because he told me he'll play better tonight.
Okay. Well, every athlete
just tells people what they want to hear.
Every athlete is optimistic. I mean, why else would I be flying all around the country every other week to keep taking my lumps?
Lenning once again in control.
3 serving 0.
Yes, no.
Serving 3.
Charlie Shanks, John, is about the least demonstrative athlete I've ever seen. You'll never hear him
Check the ball.
say anything positive or negative. He's always on the even keel.
I think they're kind of trained that way over there. A couple of them break from it, but they.
That's true. You don't see much emotion from any of the Irish.
1 serving 3.
Inside, they're probably feeling it, but yeah, it's 1-3 now. Shanks scored that point.
That's a great shot from Sean Lenning. Behind his back, over his head.
He's clearly feeling it. He missed that one.
Now, John, for the viewers just tuning in, and I know that I didn't get a chance to listen to you announce the last match with your brother-in-law, Nadi Alvarado Jr. What is going on with Nadi in these first games? I mean, he literally looks like an A player in the first game, and then all of a sudden it's Nadi Alvarado, the number 2 ranked player in the world, in the second and third games.
You know, I have no answer for that at all, but I asked him between games, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, just a little flat. It's like he's accepted that about himself, and I have no answer for it.
I mean, in a strange way,
he used to be
John.
a phenomenal starter.
In a strange way, John, it makes it more difficult on your opponent because they feel comfortable. They've just dominated you 21-10.
Maybe that's what he's thinking.
And then all of a sudden, here's Nadi hitting the ball twice as hard, moving, getting to everything.
Yeah, that
Hitting
was
his
really
incredible
something.
serves.
Well, we noticed he could have easily lost that second game, but at around 7-6 or 8-6, Luis disrespected him by not checking out his own sweat. So Nadi just started. No, it was late in the first game. It was like 19-6.
Right.
So Nadi fired about 3 aces there. Like, yeah, you shouldn't have done that, kid. And he brought that back in the second game as well. So that's what we felt was the key to that match. Next time, Luis will check the floor.
Well, you never want to make a great player mad. You want to be.
You never know what's going to make him mad. Like that wouldn't make me mad. You didn't check your sweat.
If there's any doubt that it might make them mad, you don't want to do it.
And clearly, Nadi does get angry about that.
I think you want to make it seem like you're great friends out there just having a good time with everybody, and secretly you're trying to beat them as badly as possible. But it's a fine line. You don't want to give that away.
Mental note, though, if you dive, you handle your own business. Don't expect him to. I mean, he will, but there'll be a price to pay. Oh,
Great get from Sean, and it just dies right in
flowing.
front of Charlie Shanks. This is a point in this second game, John, where I think Charlie Shanks needs to take a timeout and make one huge push to try and get himself into this match, because
yes,
it almost seems like Sean Lenning's in the court by himself right now.
Definitely dictating, imposing his will. Like a practice game with Donald Curry.
Does Donald Curry play handball?
He might not anymore. He did
Okay.
when I lived there. He got him out in the court a few times.
2 serving 6.
Is Charlie Shanks playing handball?
Well, he's not given a chance to play right now. And even
That's a good call.
with a big setup there, Sean Lenning still
He hit it
applying
right
the
in front of
pressure.
himself, and Lenning, yep, read that shot.
I know, John, that you played Sean. When he puts his mind to getting to everything, he literally gets to everything.
Yeah.
More so than anyone I've ever seen. You talk about some of the quickest guys in the sport. Obviously, you've got Luis Moreno.
Second serve.
Dave Chapman picks up a lot of balls. Emmett, when he was playing really well, picked up a lot of balls. But I think Sean picks up more balls than anybody in the sport.
And like you said, when we're putting in mind to it, when the mind-body connection is really there, it's like his anticipation goes up another level, his adrenaline, his first step.
And we saw that, John, when Sean Lenning beat Nadi Jr. at the HBC2 about 6 months ago. He just put everything together for that entire tournament.
2 serving 6.
And I know, John, you said you've seen Sean Lenning do it in spurts. You've seen him do it for 10 points or a game, but never for 2 games. And that's when he did against Nadi Jr. there. And that was when Nadi Jr. was really playing well.
But
From start
the
to
way
finish.
Charlie's answering right now is going to make it.
We're going to actually bring the camera in on the booth right now, John, and get a look at 2 Seattle WAC teammates
All right.
as we take a look at Charlie Shanks just down the hall here, John. This is what we call the WPH 360 cam, following the players behind the scenes.
About 90 degrees right now to the north.
It actually spans the entire club.
I've seen it go the other way. That's true.
30 seconds.
I'd like to see that camera maybe pan around the upstairs gallery. Unfortunately, John, we were unable
That'd
to get.
be like 3D. That would be more than 360. Like
That would be
there's
something.
Mr. Heelan there. There's a other shot.
Mr. Heelam is one of our sponsors. Tucson Rolling Shutters. It's a locally owned business here in Tucson, but they're nationwide, John. So you can find them online. You can call them up. Get all those blinds and accessories. And
He's serving
there's
the
the
ground,
Irish.
and there it is
Well, that's the Irish serve. At least one per
in the
game.
ground. He is aiming pretty close to the front wall, but excellent timeout by Sean, apparently. But to your point about him doing it for the whole match with Nadi, if you start to lose your fire and the other guy doesn't immediately step in, then you get back. Like Charlie, I like how Charlie's played these last few points, but not that shot.
Well, you see Charlie's put a little pressure on Sean. All of a
Right.
sudden, Sean's serves aren't quite as great. They're returnable coming off the back wall.
Serving 4.
So Charlie's saying, I'm not going to make this easy for you. You're going to have to play 15 more points just as well. There's one.
That's a very difficult shot.
Made it look easy, but
It
yeah.
sounds like this ball is broken. I'm starting to sound like Dave Vincent.
You'll sound like him if you say it like 20 more times.
Head out.
Charlie with a nice shot there. That's a overhand left corner kill.
That's what I really noticed watching him a lot in Los Cabs. He is comfortable from chest to shoulder high. His whatever it is, his elbow to hand is parallel to the floor. He's doing something right from that
5,
position.
serving 7.
He makes a lot of unorthodox kills. I think you see that a lot now, Dave, from all these top players. They've got a lot of their own personal percentages.
6, serving 7.
Fadeaway kills, off 1 foot kills, tomahawk kills. Did you see as much of that, John, during your prime of your Hall of Fame career?
Well, those are the guys like Rick Christian, but I guess we were just better. Just threw that out there.
7, serving 6.
Well, it's
No, you had to play textbook. But no, yeah, these guys trust their hands from different positions. We were kind of coached that it was foolish. That would kind of hurt your own percentages if you were being told that it was a bad idea. These guys, if anyone told them, they don't care. They're not letting it impact their play.
how much do you think, John, that the ball has changed the game?
Oh, that's huge. And I was just there's Lenning staying on top of it.
9, serving
My
6.
father just treated me to the 1989 George Lee final, the first time I ever beat Naughty Senior. And one of the first things I noticed was I took a full swing at a fist to the ceiling, and it didn't come rifling 15 feet off the back wall. I mean, I wound up and I bowled it up there, and it was the right pace. So yeah, that changes things.
And you watch these matches, John, from the late 1980s or even the early 1990s, and it seems like everything's in slow motion, and a lot of that has to do with
It's
the ball.
Yeah, yep.
I believe, John, that the ball is too fast now, and you see this in every sport now. The golf ball has gotten too long, you know, to the point where it's ruined 99% of the golf courses out there for these guys because the ball is just flying too far. I wish, John, as we take a look at 2 Seattle WAC teammates here, this is my Hall of Fame partner, John Bike, and I am David Fink as we take a timeout here in game number 2. But I think, John, they really need to pull back on the pace of this handball.
It sounded like the first USHA effort that they're going to do that. And now, but what I saw at Los Cabs was pretty darn fast. So I don't know.
They need to figure out, John, a way to get the right combination of the right weight and also the right composition, I suppose. You know, I'm not a scientist, but I'll pretend to be here.
Yeah, I'm not even going to pretend.
Okay. Well, you know, you're still almost a rookie here in the booth, and as you get more comfortable, you realize that.
Take on other roles. And
10, serving 6.
Sean comes strong off the timeouts.
Was that Charlie Shanks timeout there, John?
Doesn't matter to Sean.
Okay. Because I do keep stats of
11, serving
who
6.
scores
happens
the first
after.
point after a momentum timeout. Because a lot of these timeouts are called to sort of break the momentum, and I sort of have a theory that actually doesn't work the vast majority of the time. It's actually 72% of the time.
Well, then come up with a new theory. Adjust.
Well, I'm just questioning the validity of that theory. Is that really worthwhile?
7, serving 11.
I don't know.
I don't understand Sean, who's either dead on or off by like 2 inches. He's rocketed a few serves down the right, like a foot too high, and he never misses by that much. I'm not seeing that at all.
Well, I think he's staying down on his swing.
That's the right height there. And that's the right height. It seems like when he's missing, he's usually just barely missing.
John has definitely been the most impressive player that we've seen thus far today. Everyone's got at least one match under their belt, except for Dave Chapman, who's had to buy into the quarterfinals, and he hasn't yet played.
13, serve 7.
But John, we've seen
And he got that one the right height again.
all the top qualifiers. We've seen the number 2 player, Nadia Alvarado Jr., the number 3 player, Luis Moreno, the number 5 player, Alan Garner, and all the rest of the guys. And no one's looked anything like Sean Lenning.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, Moreno maybe in the second game, but
I actually attributed that to fatigue on the part of Andy Nett.
as a qualifier, yeah.
You know, we talked about this in the meeting last night, but these top 4 guys, John, are coming in fresh. And Andy Nett played 2 qualifier matches yesterday. He played a 2.5-hour tiebreaker match this morning. And then he plays Luis Moreno, who has not played.
Right.
So Andy Nett's got about 4.5 hours of court time. Luis Moreno has 0. And then they play a 21-20 first game. And what can you expect? I mean, how much can Andy Nett possibly have left at that point?
15, serving 7.
Should I just stubbornly disagree like your partner, or should I just concede the point?
Well, you can concede. Be something different.
Excellent point.
16, serving 7.
Look at
And obviously, John, this has
Point.
nothing to do with what we can control, but Luis is also lives here in Tucson.
Oh, yeah,
he
he
didn't
had
have to get on a
everything
plane.
in his
He's
favor, yeah.
staying in his own bed.
everything in his favor.
Ironically, though, John, Luis Moreno has not played well in the last 2 pro stops held here at this very club. He lost in the quarterfinals to Owen Kennedy,
Well, that's it.
and then he lost in the quarterfinals to Marco Chavez. Now, those are not bad losses, but certainly those aren't good results for Luis Moreno either,
Right.
who's used to being in the semifinals and finals.
So he's got to be happy to have made the finals. And just while we're just talking for a minute here, Lenning's gotten to match point.
Possible match
He's
point,
not
serving
missed his height in the serve since I made my smart remark. And it's
Amazing
over.
performance there from Sean.
Very impressive. Wax still alive. We're gonna need the 100 out of him. Nothing less will do.
And you hear the appreciative gallery there. Sean Lenning just absolutely ferocious in there, John. I mean, there's really nothing anyone outside of Paul Brady could have done against a Sean Lenning playing at that level, in my opinion. Now,
Yeah.
you know, certainly we saw Sean Lenning lose a couple weeks ago to Robin McCarthy. I don't believe it was the same Sean Lenning that we just
No,
watched.
he just decided to take the bull by the horns, and he's dictating again, no matter what.
John, we're going to take a quick
Excellent.
10-minute break. I don't know if you're going to be with me on the flip side. I hope you are. But our last match of the night will be Alan the Blonde Bombshell taking on the defending USHA National Four-Wall Champion and 9-time National Champion, Dave Chapman. So the crowd will certainly pack in, not only on the show court, but here in the gallery to watch on the huge projection screen. And John, we'll look forward to maybe seeing you in about 10 minutes, or if not, we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you very
Probably
much,
catch you
John. And
tomorrow.
we'll certainly look forward to everyone staying tuned and see you in about 10 minutes.
Hello, I'm Bruce Fabrizio, inventor of